Hey, Olympia, Washington, how we doing? Oh, that wasn't very excitable. I want to know, how are we really doing? Oh, much better. That's an old showbiz trick where you ask them twice. A couple things. Please don't yell at the comedians. If you want to have a conversation, please step outside. And we're going to have a weird, funky comedy show. I put this together, sort of. And I was like, who should host this show? Who's my best friend from high school who also does comedy and is synonymous? And is it synonymous? With this place. You're going to love him. He's very funny. Give it up for your host tonight, Ryan Bunnell!
Oh my God, thanks for coming out, guys. Give it up for yourselves for being here. Give it up for Voyeur for existing for 25 years. And thanks for coming out to support Voyeur. This place has been really important to me I've been coming here not quite 25 years, but almost. So we were sneaking in here, me and Chris, before we were old enough to go to shows, and there was a ladder there, and we'd climb up and hide in that little loft up there, which is where they stored all the alcohol, and we just help ourselves to little Mickey's hand grenades the whole time, and should probably pay them back. I hear they're not doing well right now. They need all the help they can get. I'll put that on my 9th step, I guess. But yeah, no, Voyeur and all my bands, growing up, I played in here. All of them fucking. This place was a shit back in the day too. I remember when I was young, I'd come here with $5 because $5 you could get a TLT, little tempeh lettuce and tomato for $3, and then 2 of the $1 beers. Yeah. It was like you get dinner and get a buzz going. This was and still is a great place for vegan alcoholics. That's what I'm saying. How many vegan alcoholics we got here today? Come on, clap it up. How many vegans do we got that are probably alcoholics but haven't admitted it yet? You're getting there. Yeah. I'll do you one better. I was a vegan junkie back in the day. That was... Yeah, I used to... My friends thought that was weird. I'd be mixing up a spoon of Coke and heroin, and they're just like, aren't you a vegan? I'm like, yeah, I read the ingredients, okay, bro? No casein in this bag of heroin. I checked. But, yeah, man. Yeah, this is a good spot. I like doing comedy. I hosted a comedy show here every week for a long time. In fact, all the comedians you're going to see tonight, except one, have all hosted Vomity during its tenure here. And one of them wasn't a host, but is featured a lot of times. So, I don't know, I'm real excited doing a Vomity little throwback here. And I've always liked doing comedy in this room. It's traveling around, sometimes you're in different rooms. It's a little weird. You're like, am I going to be able to connect with this audience? But, I always feel right at home here. I'm always looking around. I'm like, these are my people, just looking at this audience, I can tell that 91% of the people in this room know exactly what it feels like to be cheated on in an open relationship. Right? Sucks, doesn't it? It's like how I imagine my buddy Adrian felt when he got a DUI sitting in his parked car, You're like, yeah, I guess technically this is possible, but it just seems like it shouldn't have been, But yeah, this is a good room, I like the vibe in here. I like that I know that I can come up on this stage and say, fuck ICE, free Palestine. And nobody's gonna go stomping out angry, unless... Let's wait a second. We got any angry stompers? Okay, cool. I was just checking because maybe you're on a first date. That's a good thing to learn early on, You don't want to be on your wedding night being like, wait, you support state-sponsored ethnic cleansing? No. Wish you should have learned that earlier. Should have picked up on the signs. You did have that big poster hanging up in your dorm of Slobodan Milosevic. I thought it was a phase, everyone has a Milosevic phase in college. Big Slobo heads. Yeah, fuck ICE. It's a good slogan, rolls right off the tongue. Fuck ICE, it's fun to say, I like a good slogan, how about snitches get stitches? That's a good one. It's whatever happened to snitches get stitches? Right? Remember back in the day, that was a real thing, but these days, I don't know, you got You have these motherfuckers out here calling the cops, like, whenever their son murders Charlie Kirk, you know? That ain't street code, man. Come on, like, I wouldn't have called the cops. Like, if my son, who I love with all my heart more than anything on this earth, if my son came to me and said, Dad, it was me. I slimed Charlie Kirk. I would be like, wait, what the? That's insane. You're only 8 years old. Like, how? How do you even know who that is? You don't have the internet on your iPad? Like, is this something third graders talk to each other about? Like, and he's like, Dad, his organization, it's a bigoted one funded by billionaires, and they use their power to primary Republican candidates who they think are too moderate, and that's not good for democracy. And I'd be like, you're a fascinating, strange little guy. Let's just keep this between us, though. You're gonna freak people out. How did you even get to Utah? Did you go by yourself? But yeah, I don't know. It's gotta suck for that dad too. You know, he sent his son to prison only to find out he didn't even kill him. It was Charlie Kirk's wife that done it, right? That's fucked up. I'm kidding. I don't fucking know, but I get why people are suspicious, though. You've seen her on stage with the shiny pants and the crazy makeup and big pyrotechnics and a giant confetti cannon. You're like, does this look like a widow after the death of their spouse, or it looks more like the Joker celebrating having captured Batman and Robin? It's very maniacal energy to it. It's a punk show. The mics don't work. We don't know what time it starts. Punk 30, no to fluff. No one's got to pay because they're all dating the drummer. But yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I didn't lose my job for posting about the sliming of Kirk. A lot of people in my line of work did, and that's sad. But I don't know. I like my job. It's funny, like, when people ask what I do for a living, because I'm never sure what to say, because how, like, the names of jobs are always changing over the years. You're like, wait, is it a plumber or a pipe fitter? Or, like, the people serving food on the plane were stewards and stewardesses, but they're flight attendants? Or, like, I think the mailman's a letter carrier now. But, like, people who do what I do for a living used to be called school teachers. But now we're called, like, what is it, like devil-worshipping communist pedophiles? You know, it's hard to keep up with. And they're like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, race-baiting child groomer, I think. Or is that 2023? I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Like, I see these weird, like, conservative moms on TikTok who are like, we're homeschooling now. You know, we had to take our kids out of school because the public schools are making your kids trans. And I'm just like, who are these teachers with such obedient students? I don't know. Like, have you ever tried to tell a high schooler to put their phone away? Like, Jesus Christ, like, I can't even get through like 5 minutes of like instruction explaining how to do the assignment without the kids yelling about skibbity this and 6-7 that, you know? Like, I'd be like, okay, you guys are reading to the end of the section on page 49. And then when you get there, you got to answer all the study questions at the end of the chapter. And I expect to see complete sentences and proper punctuation. And from now on, all the boys are girls and all the girls are boys. Like, no, I don't want to hear it now. You know? Until the end of the period to hand in the assignment. Until the end of the semester to transition. And don't make me send a note home to your parents, you know. Because they get sassy. Like, this one kid, Brock, he was sassing me about it. He's this big, you know, captain of the football team, a state champion, very comfortable with his gender assigned at birth, you know, and he wants to play college football, and I was like, no, you get to be a cheerleader, and that's it, you know. I need you to take off that Letterman and put on a nice sundress and some makeup, and your name's Jessica now. He's like, oh, come on, Mr. Bunnell, I ain't trying to be a girl dog. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it, Jessica. Now, you gotta start on these meds. It's hormone therapy. You're gonna grow some nice tits. And he's like, oh, why do I even gotta do all this, man? I'm like, because I worship the devil. This is all just part of it for me for some reason. I don't know. I'm not a very observant devil worshiper. I mostly just go on holidays, but let's see. But the point of all that is that I finished my teaching degree. I went to grad school and did all that. And I know for like some people it's probably not a big deal. But like people who knew me like growing up, cause like I grew up in like crushing poverty with like a lot of just violence and abuse in my house, and like I got arrested for the first time when I was 9 years old, and started getting mixed up with like drugs and crime when I was 12, and like I've kicked heroin in jail, I've slept under bridges, I've been in bad places with bad people doing terrible shit, but like now, like God willing, in July I'll have 11 years clean and sober. I went back to school, got my bachelor's, went to grad school, got a master's. I've been married for, 11, 12 years now, 13? Who's counting? But got 2 beautiful children who've never seen me drunk or high, and own a house. And you guys want to know how I did it, huh? You want to know I pulled myself up out of poverty and crime and addiction and refused to be a statistic, huh? You want to know how I fucking did it, huh? Yeah. I'll tell you what I did. The first thing I did is I married someone with rich parents. The second thing I did is, there's not really a second thing. It all just took care of itself after that first. I can't recommend it highly enough. There's not enough rich people to go around. It's how the economy works. But if every poor kid could marry a rich kid, we could all do stand-up and be teachers. But yeah, I don't know. Going to college was fun. You get to hear words there that you don't normally hear in regular life. Like, I heard this term relative poverty, and I was asking my professor about it, and he's like, oh, that's this term that sociologists use. And what it refers to how people, they figure out how rich or poor they are, not based on how much money they have, but just by like comparing themselves to the people they live around. Like how a kid in Beverly Hills might think he's poor because he drives a Mercedes, but his friend drives a Ferrari. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because I remember like growing up out in Tanglewilde when there was like 7 of us crammed like sardines in this shitty little 2-bedroom duplex, half-mile downwind from the Ostrom's mushroom farm. But my cousins lived in that trailer park immediately adjacent to the mushroom farm. So whenever I'd go over there to get babysat, I was Little Lord fucking Fauntleroy, man. I was just like, what is this slop? At my house, we usually get cut up hot dogs and our mac and cheese. Oh, here comes my mom to pick me up in a car on which all 4 doors are the same color. But yeah, it was fun. I don't know. That was a cool class. It was the same class that I heard about this study called Rat Park. And I know some of you are involved in harm reduction. You probably heard of it. If you haven't heard of it, the long and short of it, so a long time ago, there were some scientists, and they took rats, and they put a rat in a cage all by itself, and they put it in there with morphine, and then the rat would get addicted to morphine. And they'd be like, yeah, look at that. Drugs cause addiction. Case closed. And then some years later, some more smart scientists came along, and they were like, you locked a sensitive social creature in a cage all by itself with drugs, and you think it's interesting that it took them, or you fucking stupid? And so they designed this study. They called it Rat Park, and they built a rat park. It was this giant, sprawling fucking complex where all these rats could hang out and live together in this beautiful little rat paradise, and they could all eat rat snacks and play rat games and have rat sex and run on the little spinny wheel and just do whatever a fucking disgusting rat could want to do. And they had drugs, and they found that the rats with the socially, materially rich existence didn't get strung out the way the like sad, poor prison rats did. And they're like, okay, so maybe addiction has some broader social component to it, like maybe the problem's not the dope, the problem's the cage. And I don't know, it hit me hard because it got me thinking about this time, like the last time I was like really good and strung out, just nasty, fucking just daily habit. And I was in New York, and I'd been sleeping in East River Park over by the baseball fields. And like I remember like waking up, getting rained on, and just looking around and just being surrounded by like the fattest, happiest rats you ever saw, just eating garbage and rolling in it and fucking each other on my sleeping bag. And it didn't make me want heroin any less. I'm just saying, science is horseshit. The earth is flat. Don't get vaccinated. But yeah, like clean and sober now. I got my life together. I'm married. That's fun. Yeah, it was funny. A couple years ago, I was like working out at the college with some younger guys who weren't married, and there's this one guy there who was real into doing the apps and going out to the clubs. He was real into the whole hookup thing, you know. And he used to come to work on Monday every week, like bragging about everyone he hooked up with, you know. And he'd be like, "Yeah, fucking hooked up," you know. And he'd always think it was like cool and impressive, bragging about everyone he hooked up with. And he'd always think it was like lame and corny, you know, if I ever bragged about hooking up with my wife. Come in on Monday with a spring in my step. I got laid this weekend, dude. You didn't see that coming. You know, and he was like, "Dude, what are you talking about? Like, I'm talking about fucking someone right after I first met him, you know, and that's a cool story. You're talking about fucking someone you already been with for like 12 years? That's no big deal." And I was like, "Kid, how impressed do you expect me to be that you managed to fuck somebody with whom you have a completely clean slate?" Like, you've never pissed in her sock drawer during a heroin relapse? That you had the audacity to blame her for because she's not supportive enough of your stand-up comedy career? It's like, she's probably never even seen you cry. Like, all she's ever seen you do is order drinks and talk about music. Why wouldn't she fuck you? Like, for all she knows, you're probably a cool, interesting person or something. My wife harbors no such illusions about me. Like, they've seen me sit down to try to read like a cool smart people book on my day off, you know, only to close it seconds later and watch 9 episodes of Chopped. Like, the fact that I ever see him naked's nothing short of heroic. Anyway, you guys ready for your first comedian who's not the host? Yeah.